Now that we're officially halfway into the NBA season, I wanted to take some time and highlight some of the most impressive teams that we've seen so far. Starting off with the Detroit Pistons. After going on the longest losing streak in NBA history last year and finishing with a 14-68 record, the Detroit Pistons have bounced back in a big way this year. Halfway through last season, the Pistons had an abysmal 4-37 record, and were on pace to be one of, if not the worst team in NBA history. This year, at the halfway point, the Pistons were actually one game above 500 at 21-20, a record that would have been unthinkable at this same point last year and maybe even in the offseason as well. The bounce-back year for Detroit has a lot to do with their offseason, actually, as they made several nice signings that are currently paying off, most notably signing Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley. They have made immediate contributions as veterans for a young squad that needed some help being shown how to win. Harris has given them a much-needed solid player at the 4 spot, and Malik Beasley has been one of the best 6 men in the league so far this year. Credit also needs to be given to the Pistons' new coach, J.B. Bickerstaff, for helping turn the franchise's fortune around. He was also a big help to the Cavaliers in turning their franchise around, and is now doing so for a fellow Central Division team in the Pistons. The injury to Jaden Ivey at the beginning of January must have been a big blow to Pistons fans, especially with how well he had been playing this year. But they should be happy with the fact that the Pistons are still playing well despite the loss of Ivey, as they actually have a better winning percentage since his injury than they did with him. And lastly, but probably most importantly, Cade Cunningham has taken a huge leap and should be a surefire all-star, as he's averaging 24 points per game, nearly 7 rebounds per game, and over 9 assists per game. If he keeps this up, and the Pistons continue to play solid ball, Cade could actually find himself on an All-NBA team at the end of the season. The second impressive team of the year that I wanted to talk about is the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs currently have the best record in the NBA, thanks in large part to having the best offense in the NBA. The Cavs didn't make any significant free agent signings or trades during the offseason, allowing the team to retain the chemistry that they've had the past couple of seasons. And now with the team not being hampered with injuries like they have for the past couple of years, the players are showing just how good the team can be when healthy. Darius Garland is having a big-time comeback season after having a really poor season last year, and looks like he could be headed to his second All-Star game. Evan Mobley has also improved this season, as he is much more confident to take defenders off the dribble using his stellar coordination for someone his size. Those two having big-time seasons, along with almost every other player on the team playing the best that they have in their career, is propelling them to some of the highest heights that Cleveland has ever seen in the regular season. And their brand new coach, Kenny Atkinson, has been a big factor in making it happen. Atkinson has empowered his players to be confident in their game and not be afraid to make mistakes. He's also heavily pushed sharing the ball on offense, which has led to the Cavs having tremendous ball movement, which makes them so hard to guard, and should help a lot in the postseason when most teams' ball movement tends to slow down and teams become easier to guard. The third team, and arguably the most surprising team of the season so far, is the Houston Rockets. Houston has taken a monstrous leap from last season as they missed the play-in, but are now finding themselves second in a tough Western Conference. I don't think Rockets fans could even fathom their team being the 2 seed in the conference halfway through the season, but here we are. The cool thing about the Rockets is they've improved greatly from within the franchise as opposed to a team like the Pistons who brought good players in to try to improve the team. The Rockets didn't sign a single free agent this past offseason, and Reed Shepherd, who they picked third in the draft, has barely played. Almost all the Rockets' young players have improved from last season, most notably Amen Thompson, Alperen Şengün, and Jalen Green. Thompson has quickly solidified himself as one of the best wing defenders in the NBA, along with being one of the scariest players in transition, and his half-court game is continuing to grow. Şengün has actually seen a slight regression in his offensive numbers, but has made a big leap on the defensive end of the floor, which has been a huge part in Houston going from the 14th ranked defense last year to the 4th ranked defense this year. And after having a really rough start to the year, Jalen Green is really starting to hit his stride, as he's averaging 25 points per game on well above average true shooting percentage over the last month. The improvements from these three have been huge, but you also have to give a lot of credit to the Rockets' young role players like Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason for contributing on both ends, as well as some older guys like Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, and Steven Adams for being solid veteran glue guys in their roles. The next team I want to put a spotlight on is the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers were not a popular team to be high on leading up to the season, in large part due to the questions surrounding Kawhi Leonard's health. Most outlets didn't have them making the playoffs coming into the season, and I didn't think they'd be making the playoffs either. The Clippers have responded to the doubters and currently find themselves with a top 10 record in the NBA. It was unthinkable to me that the Clippers would be able to survive in the West with Kawhi being out indefinitely, but halfway into the season, they're actually thriving. Perhaps the biggest reason why has been the play of Norman Powell. Norm has taken up a ton of responsibility for the Clippers offense since Paul George left in free agency, and Kawhi has missed more than 30 games. And so far, Norm has stepped up big time. Norm has averaged about 24 points per game this season on good efficiency, which is all you can ask for from him. The other big reason for the Clippers' success is Ivica Zubac. Zoo has been really good for the Clippers this season on both sides of the floor and is currently averaging 15 points per game and 13 rebounds per game. He's actually helped the offense a lot more than you'd think as well. James Harden was the only real initiator on the team for the first half of the season, and Zoo made his life so much easier. When Zoo and Harden are on the floor together, the Clippers' offensive rating is a whopping 9 points better than when Harden is on the floor without him. They have stellar chemistry together in the pick and roll, which has really helped to carry the offense at times. Those standout performers, along with the fact that the roster is constructed to be great defensively, has kept the Clippers well above 500 without Kawhi, and now they will become very real threats to the top dogs in the conference going into the playoffs. And the final team that I wanted to talk about, and in my opinion the most impressive team of the season so far, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder were thought to be a phenomenal team coming into the season, and they have not disappointed one bit. I'd say that the Thunder have impressed me quite a bit more than I thought they would. I figured they would be the 1 seed in the West this year, and they are, but it's so impressive how they've done it. The Thunder would not see their marquee free agent signing Isaiah Hartenstein for the first 15 games of the season due to an injury to his left hand during the preseason, and now are without him for another chunk of games due to a calf strain. Chet Holmgren, who is looking like an all-star if not all-NBA player, has missed more than 75% of the season since he took a nasty fall in early November, and will be out for at least another few weeks. Despite these major injuries to key players, the Thunder are just 1 game behind the Cleveland Cavaliers for the best record in the league. The biggest part of why they've been able to do so great even with the injuries is their tenacious defense. The Thunder have a plethora of players who can guard multiple positions and really don't have any weak links on that side of the floor, leading them to be the best defensive team in the league by points allowed per game. It's almost unbelievable that OKC has been able to be the #1 scoring defense in the league, despite only getting 10 games out of a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Chet Holmgren, and Isaiah Hartenstein missing half the year, who's also a really good defender. And the driving force behind OKC's success this season is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as he's averaging 32 points per game, 6 assists per game, and 5 rebounds per game, along with 3 stocks per game. He's done a fantastic job propelling this OKC team to the top of the conference, and should be the MVP if he keeps this up.